Jonathan, thanks again, man, for being on the show. It is a pleasure. I know I was on your podcast a while back, and it's good to see you here. And one of the things I really want to focus on today is millennials. And I know that your show really focuses on that. And what is a millennial? I had to actually look that up. I'm like, what is a millennial? And it's actually the ages between 25 and 40. So I missed the millennial generation by 1 year. I'm 41, and so that stinks. I wish I was a millennial. I think I'm a Gen X guy, but millennials, a lot of times they get a bad reputation. Maybe they say that they're self entitled, lazy. I don't know. They grew up in this era where they had things maybe given to them. But you like to really focus on millennials, and I want you to flip the script, maybe because I don't think they have a bad reputation. Maybe that's just what people think in their minds. So let's talk about millennials. Number one, like you teach millennials and you really focus on that. So talk about this millennial generation, number one, and what's your take on it?
Well, one, I am a millennial, so it's a little easier for me to talk to an audience that I feel like I can relate to. If I was talking to people that were in their 50s and 60s, I don't know how much I'd be able to actually give them advice based on experience. But I also like to think about it from the sense of they can maybe catch some of their, or I was the same way, but catch some of the bad learnings or habits or teachings before they get too far down the path. And then it gets much harder, I find, to kind of unstick or unravel once you have kids and a lot of bad debt and family and all these commitments that you feel like would be impossible to walk away from. So I definitely like that audience, one, because I am one, but also because I find that there's a chance that maybe they could start building something before they get too far down the path, can't learn, can't teach an old dog new tricks type thing. And I feel like, if you catch someone maybe 22, 24, 26, whatever, that they can still make changes that will impact their trajectory. That, like my whole thing is like, there's a multifamily investor I like, and he posts a lot about this mantra, like, which if you've seen the Matrix, like, did you take the red or the blue pill? And like I think most people, and I think we talked about this when you were on my show, Brett, was people just kind of, I find, sleepwalk, or they kind of just go through this preset dogma of you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to get a job, you're supposed to put money in retirement accounts, you're supposed to take your 2 or 3 weeks vacation a year, and then from there it's just kind of retire and hopefully have some time left at the end. So I feel like for this like age, there's a way that you can kind of catch people, and maybe they can start to course correct, or at least try to get a little bit more of kind of the question in their minds of what makes me happy, what do I like doing. Actually do something called lifestyle design, which I didn't come up with, but I love Tim Ferriss, and 4 Hour Work Week was one of the most impactful books on my life. But really just ask that question, what do I want to do every day, what type of lifestyle do I want to live? And I feel like it's just easier to do at that age. And I don't have all the answers by any means, as just being 27, still learning all the time, but I feel like I've gotten better at asking that question. And people like yourself and other mentors have kind of helped me ask that question just on a regular basis, and then just kind of not go through the motions.
Yeah. Do you think it's easier for millennials to really take in the information that we teach, right? I mean, we talk about purpose, real estate investing was a little bit different, entrepreneurship's a little bit different. I mean, when I was in school, yeah, I mean, the get a job thing, go to a good college and work 40 hours a week for the rest of your life and get the pension or whatever, that was really, really ingrained. Do you think it's in your age, is it more open? I mean, are people like, I don't want that. Like, is it just more, people accept it a little bit more, or is it still like, hey, this is the thing you need to do?
I think it's still part of the like infrastructure. I think actually COVID has done something to change a lot of that, because I think now a lot of people that feel they're forced to go back to a job are experiencing that for the first time, that they've been home, they've been working on their own schedule, and now they are being kind of like disrupted again to be back in an office and realizing like, I don't like that. I don't like having someone pull my time or not have time freedom. So um I don't know. I think, yeah, with like all the like side gig generation and side hustle generation, I think, yes, it is a little bit more like possible. And I think as more people kind of get down the path of, any of the like newer entrepreneurial strategies that are kind of plug and play. If it's like drop shipping or wholesaling or flipping stuff, like you don't need to be tied to an office and in person. Like you would maybe 20 or 30 years ago. And I think that just appeals to a lot of people. So I think it's a combination of both. It kind of just got me thinking. I just reread The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. And, just talking about the concept of like, the past generations were more from like labor or for trading time for money, but there's a lot more information workers now that you can kind of work from the computer and design a system or, hire people to outsource different parts of the business. So I think it's a combination of it's become more possible. And then as it's become more possible, more people are talking about it, teaching about it. And I feel like people have probably always wanted to do it, but now I don't think it's as hard. You don't have to, I think, like reinvent anything. There's, I think, a lot more plug and play strategies. And, like, Brett, I think you talk to anyone about real estate, everyone wants to get involved with it. But I think now, at least with the circles or people that I talk to, there's a lot more strategies that I think are being kind of openly discussed where people can get in stuff like house hacking or buying second homes or maybe doing something with Airbnb or, learning the process of flipping or wholesaling. I think the information is a lot more accessible. That's also, I think, a big part of it where, like some people just don't like to read. Their mind doesn't process information with reading. Well, now YouTube has everything. You don't need to go to college. You have YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably a combination of the want's always been there. I think the information's a little more accessible. And then I think now, like, bring it really micro, like with COVID, people just don't want to be back in an office. Like
Yeah.
they got a taste of time freedom. And now it's become a little bit more of like a possibility. So I think it's a, combination of factors. But just the thing on millennials, like people of all age are lazy. Just the 80-20, the 80-20, of maybe the
Mm-hmm.
80-20 are the ones that actually do it. So like when people say millennials are lazy, everyone's lazy.
That is true. I'm
Gen
pretty
Xers are
lazy.
lazy, baby boomers are lazy. Millennials are maybe just as lazy, maybe lazier. But it's just I almost look at it like, well, then maybe if you're not lazy, it'll be that much easier for you. So I
Yeah.
never really harp on like who's lazy, who's not lazy. I'm
Yeah.
like, me and you or me, we can push ourselves to do stuff. And hopefully everyone else gets lazier
Yeah.
because then it'll be easier for us, that just kind of keep pushing. So yeah, that's like millennials, laziness kind of lumped into one answer.
No, I love it. Thank you so much for shedding light on that. And in this economy, in this culture, I think just being a freelancer, entrepreneur is just so much available, right? I was just thinking about that the other day. Is like if you're sitting home, it used to be like at my age, like if you couldn't get a job, you couldn't do anything. Like you just have to sit home. If I was in my 20s, oh man, I can't get a job. Nobody's gonna hire me and all this. But now there's so much opportunity that you could, right, be an Uber driver. You could go to Instacart and get someone's groceries for them, right? DoorDash. There's all these different things that you can do at freelance, and I just think, and it's going to keep growing and growing. And entrepreneurship is just growing. I think it's the millennial generation too. They're creating all these amazing things, right? It's like all these apps that are so cool, these sharing apps, and I just think it's awesome. So I want to hear about your story though, Jonathan. So like you're 27 years old, right? And you had real estate investing, you got into that, you left the corporate enterprise technology sales jobs and to become an entrepreneur and now you're living this life that's amazing, fascinating, that you're traveling around, kind of a nomad. I don't know, traveling in the country of the United States, you're thinking about going abroad. I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but just tell us about your story, man. Like how did you get to a point where you were you able to leave your job at 27?
Okay, so for me, it started at 22. A friend recommended I check out Bigger Pockets. For those that don't know, it's think about it kind of like Facebook for real estate. It's community. There's education. Just like a great platform. Honestly, if people are wondering how to start, I would say delete Facebook from your phone and Instagram from your phone, and just use that as social media along with LinkedIn, and you'll just have a better habit. But it's just a great place to meet people, network, get information in your brain, learn about the lingo. So for me, though, that was how I started. I just became obsessed because I was kind of a go-getter out of college. I wasn't growing up. I had like a life change where it was like a light bulb. And then I was like, I need to just stop being such a knucklehead and kind of turn things around. So I wasn't exactly sure the direction, but for me, it just meant sales at a technology company. But very early on, even though I was successful in that, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do forever. And another great quote from, 4 Hour Work Week: if you don't admire the people that are 20 years ahead of you, it's time to pause and probably make a trajectory change. And I didn't really admire any of the people that were 20 years ahead of me. They were kind of miserable. So even though they're making a lot of money, it was the definition of golden handcuffs.
Thank you so much for checking out the Brett Snodgrass channel. If you like this video, please slam on that like button. And if you really like it, then subscribe to our channel here. And remember to leave us a comment below, and I'm going to try my hardest to reply to all the comments. Thank you guys so much. This is why I do what I do. Every single week, I come out with content that focuses on success, freedom, and living out your purpose. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.